This is probably just about the best sweatshirt that I've ever had. Probably the best sweatshirt of all time. Hey everyone, Gianni here. So today I'm going to be reviewing Warcross by Marie Lu. It's either that or Mary Lou, not really sure. Anyway, this book is a cyberpunk novel, and I think it was really great except for a couple of kind of major plot holes. So, I hope you enjoy. Emeka Chen is not doing well right now. She's about to get evicted, and she doesn't know what to do. The Warcross Cup is also about to happen. The name is something like that, but it's irrelevant. During the qualifiers, I think, she manages to hack into the game. There's a really valuable power-up in the game, so that's why she hacks in. The only problem is, she hacks in so well that everyone can see her as a participant of the tournament. Instead of being punished, however, the game's creator rewards her, paying off all her debts and moving her to Tokyo so she can legitimately compete and stop an underground group trying to destroy the game entirely. So I don't really think I need to review any specific characters because all of them had the same flaws, especially Emeka, although she was really supposed to be flawed. And I think that all of the characters in that sense were supposed to be flawed, like, oh, I've led such a hard life, so of course I'm going to have these flaws because that's how I was raised. I just think most of the supporting characters were really empty. Now, at the end, some of them were redeemed, but now listen to this very closely. Some of them got redeemed. It was just that the story was mostly about Emeka, so I think that the author didn't really spend much time developing these other characters, which I would have liked to see more. These characters were supposed to be a team the whole book, and yet Emeka is still the whole star of the show, and before you say, oh, wait a minute, Gianni, that's how it's supposed to be, she's the main character. Supporting characters still exist too. I mean, I don't know why they have to be so empty all of the sudden. And I know that they can be developed in future books, but I just would have liked it a little bit more if they could have just been starting off being developed. It's not really that much of an issue, but come on, the supporting characters still exist. Alright, let's move on to the plot now, and oh boy, there is a lot to talk about with this plot. Specifically, it's mostly about the technology in this book. And now, before I say anything bad about it, I just want to mention that this book is a cyberpunk novel. However, even though it was a cyberpunk novel, as I mentioned before, I like the way that it was written. It was written like this technology could come out 5 years from now, and this game could take over the whole world. And I really like that, because it's not set so far off in the future that it seems really unrealistic. See, this VR technology is so simple yet complex. Let me put it this way. Let's say I have this pair of glasses and I just put them on. They seem ordinary, right? Well, actually, I'm in this totally immersive VR world that's really interactive. Also, this is making my eyesight go weirdly because I have contacts on right now and I'm about to get nauseous. Of course, though, I can't make my eyesight a critique about this book, so let's get on to the game itself. So, this game itself is kind of interesting, and it just really sounds boring on the surface, but it actually could be really fun, and let me explain. This game, Warcross, is essentially capture the flag in VR. It's just with these really expensive power-ups and whatnot, and there are different ranks and everything. And it does kind of sound really simple, and at first I thought this was a bad thing. And then I realized that it's not necessarily about the game itself, but it's about how the community responds to it, and about how they make it harder. The best example I can give is Rocket League. On the surface, it just looks like car soccer, but then you find that there are crazy people doing things like this, and it's just like, oh my gosh, how do I do that? Well, it's just how the community responds to it, and how they keep leveling up. And also, it's all about the communication. Also, there actually are world championships for Rocket League, which makes this even more realistic. The only problem with this, however, is that this is real life, so obviously we can tell that. However, though, this is a book, and obviously there's just so many pages in a book, you can't live out a book. So I would have liked it if this game was at least more complex and really hard to master just for the sake of a book, since it isn't real life. But I do kind of like the concept, and it was just half there. It just wasn't right for me. Now though, let's get more into these power-ups. So in the game, if you get power-ups, I'm assuming that you can just save them in your inventory or something, and then sell them for in-game currency. And now, everyone uses this in-game currency, so it's still pretty valuable. But that's not the problem with this. The problem with this is how much that these power-ups go for. I would have been okay with this if these power-ups that were going for a lot of money were actually really overpowered. But no, there's actually one that's explicitly mentioned in this book where you freeze your opponent for 30 seconds. It's not like it's gonna give you one of the flags from the other team or whatever it's called. It's just freezing an opponent, and maybe that would buy you valuable time, but they didn't say, oh, this would buy you so much valuable time. And maybe it's context clues, I don't really know at this point. It just seems so stupid. Now I want to go back and talk about the VR technology. So obviously I don't have a problem with the VR technology itself. Again, put these on, immersive VR world, that's just insane to me. The problem is actually the business side of it. I'm actually upset with the business side of this. So the guy that made this game and this technology, I think his name's called Hideo Tanaka. I think that's what it is. But anyway, he could have sold this technology to many other game companies and just other companies in general for so much money so that they could sell other games on this platform. I mean, come on, he could help so many people for one, and then he could level up Warcross with all of this money, and he could level up this VR technology even more, which is what he talks about. And I really don't know why he didn't do this. And then about halfway through the book, we actually find out that it is possible because people are playing Mario Kart on this VR technology and whatnot. And for me, this is like, come on, dude, this is very important. And let me explain for a couple of reasons. So the first reason is because, one, so much money. I mean, are you kidding me? Also, the second part of it is that I feel like there are so many great games out right now, and even in the past, that would be so much more incredible in this VR technology that it would just do even better, causing Warcross to kind of fade out. Because Warcross just kind of absolutely took over the whole entire world by storm, and now everyone is playing it, and it doesn't seem like they're playing anything else. Where I feel like with all of the other games on the platform, they'd play those instead of this game. It's funny how one small plot hole, on the surface anyway, seems just innocent and everything, and then when you break it down, it's like, oh, this book really shouldn't even exist now because so many other games would take the world by storm. Alright, so that was the end of a very long plot description. Anyway, let's move on to the ending now. This is actually the part of the story that I actually liked. So the ending was actually really great. I thought it had a really nice plot twist in it. There was actually one point in the story where I predicted that something was going to happen at the end, and then I was actually right. But I wasn't really bothered at this because I just took a random shot in the dark. It was essentially a miracle that I got it right anyway. There was a slight bit of foreshadowing about the ending. I'm not really sure if you could even call it foreshadowing, but I did pick up on it, but it was so subtle that it just worked so well. This book also ended on a cliffhanger, and there's a lot of potential for it. It can really start anywhere it wants, and I really love that when that happens in books. So even though I have a lot of terrible things to say about this book, I'm actually surprisingly going to verify it. I mean, I really did like the ending, and other than a couple of those plot holes, which were actually major in general, the book was pretty well written, and I really liked it. And this book is an older book, but I just thought that I'd review it since I did like it so much, but I also kind of hated it so much. I do have to warn you, however, that there is a little bit of mild language, so maybe if you're not used to that, or you just don't want to read that, then maybe just wait a couple of more years until you read this. However, I thought it was a great cyberpunk novel, and I really recommend it for you. And on that note, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the video, and also, if you haven't already and you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe so you can watch future reviews. And thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed recently. I gained like 600 subscribers in a day, which is incredible. I love you all. I'll see you next time.